When Sanat Kimura started to prepare us for this day which is now at its dawning, he could only suggest ways and means. He could not use coercion. He provided us with adept teachers from other planets to show us the way, and it was up to us to learn the score when and if we could. Obviously, we had to begin at the bottom in our classroom work, so the training was made as simple as possible. We were to go out and dig in the soil, much as children playing in a sandbox. Down through the centuries, the dark forces working through the limited minds of theologians who tampered with the scriptural writings have tried to make this seem like a punishment. They have recorded the event with an awful pronouncement: you must earn your bread by the sweat of your brow. But it was not a punishment. It was the only opportunity that could be offered to persons so heavily burdened with karma that they did not know right from wrong. The teachers were there as group leaders, there beside us to show us how to earn our bread. They taught us agriculture, architecture, and homemaking tasks, such as building fires, cooking foods, weaving, and stitching. They taught us how to bathe our bodies and bind up our wounds, for now we were always fighting with each other and hurting each other. They taught us how to cultivate herbs that would alleviate the pain in our contaminated bodies. They could not teach us how to use the beneficent rays again and bring about an instant manifestation, for we were slow learners now. We had lost all sensitivity because now our brains were choked and clogged with that horrible murky gray astral stuff. Since we could not use the rays, we were forced to use our muscles instead. It was brutal, and it was stupid and foolish to pay such a price. And for what? For the ignominious emotional pleasure of sympathizing with a lot of lazy, ignorant laggards who could not even keep up with their evolutionary homework on their own planets. But now it is over. We have awakened to truth, or at least tens of thousands of us have awakened and responded to the call that is resounding throughout the galaxy, the call for servers of the light to restore the vineyard of the Lord on planet Earth. It is springtime in the vineyard now, and many souls are still sleeping in their accustomed darkness. But soon, very soon, the light will reach their inner consciousness. They will stir in their sleep. They will listen to the message of their own beating hearts, beating out the rhythm of life eternal. Soon, very soon, the vineyard will be alive and bright and shining with livingness, and the sleeping ones will unfold like blossoms in the warm summer sunshine. Those of us who have already awakened to truth have taken a long, long look at our stupidity, our foolishness. We decided to be foolish no longer. Thousands upon thousands began to serve the light. Tons upon tons of karma have been transmuted daily with the aid of the rays. A sufficient amount of imprisoned energy had been released by 1957 to liberate Sanat Kimura from his voluntary exile on Earth and permit him to return to his home on Venus. At the same time, enough karma had been lifted by 1957 to permit the angelic host to begin anew their work of straightening the axis of the Earth. Before the end of 1958, they had made the final adjustment. Lord Michael, mighty prince of the archangels, had stated that an adjustment of 45 degrees was required to bring the Earth axis into the line required by galactic measurement. This bending of the axis and the resultant eccentric orbit of the Earth were caused entirely by the weight of karma on the planet. So the great task of Sanat Kimura has been successful. He has returned home to Venus, although he will still guide us as a cosmic regent. His position as Lord of the world has now been turned over to Gautama, formerly your Buddha. Gautama will continue the work of arousing our divine sensitivity, of guiding our feet along the path that leads back to our galactic source, Alpha and Omega. We are still limping and still weary, but we can feel our God strength stirring within us once more. We are learning to use the rays again, though awkwardly, but we must watch ourselves constantly because the old rhythm, so ancient and so wrong, is still extremely powerful. It can so easily pull us back, turn us aside from our one-pointed goal that leads steadily upward, up there, among the stars. Constantly, we must remind our unaccustomed lower bodies of the new and better way of doing things. We must keep reminding our physical body that it can do nothing of itself. It is the Father within that doeth the works. It is the Father who lovingly supplies the constant flow of energy that beats our hearts and keeps alive our individual life flame within each heart, itself a tiny replica of the great sacred threefold flame which beats the sun heart of the solar system, the galaxy, the cosmos. As white fire beings, we were given this gift of the flame straight from the heart of Alpha and Omega. We were made in their image and likeness for all eternity. Within each beating heart today, the image is still clear and perfect as the Father in heaven is perfect. The outer form of the physical body may be ugly or beautiful, diseased or in health, but the inner flame in the heart remains ever the same as the great central sun of the galaxy from whence it came. True, the replica is tiny, for it was only a spark. But in the sight of God, the great and the small are equal in potency. God is everywhere, and God is all, indivisible. The spark is equal to the flame. The spark is God. Knowing this, the flame within our heart becomes the comfort flame, the blazing pillar of the Father's strength, forever doing His works within us if we will allow Him to have His way. But if we inject our little free will into the situation and insist upon having our own way, then the Father can do nothing. He cannot even interfere with our foolishness. But once we become acquainted with the comfort flame within us, life takes on a new meaning. Feeling this buoyant sense of livingness flowing through us limitlessly, we need not cringe when we are told that we must all individually transmute the phony man-made powers we have handed over to a delusion, a specter called death. We need not tremble with fear when we are told that we must all individually transmute our karma and make our ascension, not in a spaceship, but in our own force field. We need not feel timid or bashful when we are told that we must one and all stand before Serapis Bay, just as Jesus and Mary did 2,000 years ago. Using the rays, we can obtain straight knowledge. Through straight knowing, we will know without anyone telling us that we must all voluntarily and of our own free will come to terms with our own recalcitrant natures, so that we may freely and gladly participate in the training offered at Luxor. And this temple is the focus of only the fourth ray. We must go into all the temples and learn to use all 7 rays. We must each individually make exactly the same demonstration that Jesus made in overcoming death, although it is assuredly not required or desired that we be physically crucified. But neither can we go on as now, growing old and weary and sick, and then shedding our physical body as a tree sheds its leaves. That process is correct for a tree because it is inherent in the nature of a tree. But it is not correct for an evolving God endowed with free will. Each individual must learn to transmute all his physical, etheric, emotional, and mental imperfections, and then make his ascension in freedom away from the gravitational pull of the earth into the light ways of space. That is the simple secret of freedom from gravity.